Welcome to the hug panel. No, we know why you're really here. You couldn't afford fireworks. I'll admit it, I'm gonna stand because I'm just an energetic prick. So yeah, I'm pretty much, and I'll just tell you right now, it's very unprofessional. I have my notes with me. They got lost somewhere along the way, so this is mostly gonna be winged.
Trust me, nothing new. No, I like leaning over towards your crotch.
Where's my mom? Okay. You have to applaud my mom!
I thought we were applauding the staff.
So, all right, so this is a panel, surprisingly enough, about comedy, and pretty much what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go through, I'm just gonna talk about different types of comedy. I mean, it's mostly a lecture, but we are gonna take, like, you know, questions at the end and stuff. I'll tell you right now, at the very end, do your best not to come up and say, "Can you sign this?" because they have to clear us out for the next panel. However, tomorrow at 11, we have another panel, a Q&A, and then after that, we're going right to the dealer's room, gonna sign all sorts of stuff, and we have prints, and you can ask us questions there. So, with that said, let's get started. I'll introduce myself first. I am Doug Walker. I have a website called TheGuyWithTheGlasses.com. I do a lot of characters, including Yes, That Guy with the Glasses, Video Game Confessions, Bum Reviews, and Nostalgia Critic. Applaud! And with me is...
I'm Jason Laws. I'm Doug's little servant. Where's my treat?
Where's your treat? There, have a Sharpie. And to my... And to my right is...
I'm Barney Walker. I am Doug's father, and without me, you would have no one here to applaud for.
He's so modest. Okay, so pretty much this is going to be, like I said, it's going to be about comedy and...
Where's Rob?
Where's Rob? He's coming tomorrow, jerk. Yeah, whatever. We're all here for Rob! Trust me, things are much funnier without him.
I disagree.
That's why they ship us. They hate each other. They'd be cute. Because that's how love works. Okay, so the first thing to talk about with comedy is that it's all subjective. What somebody could find really hilarious, someone else could hate, and vice versa. There's no, like, book that says this is the right way, this is the wrong way, or there probably is, but they're wrong, even though I just said there's no wrong way. But pretty much is that it's going to be something different to everybody else. There's no mathematical formula to do it. If something makes you laugh, it just makes you laugh. You know, mostly what we're going to talk about here is sort of the stuff that makes majority of people laugh and patterns that sort of keep popping up in comedy over the years. And with that said, who knows technically, like they did a test and everything, technically what the funniest joke of all time is? Don't say it, just raise your hand, you impolite. Yeah, because that's what I hear. Well, I know you know, because you were here last year. But okay, for those, okay, some of you know, for those who don't, the joke is there's a guy who's hunting in the woods with his buddy and he accidentally shoots him. And he calls 911 and he says, "Operator, I shot my friend, it was an accident, oh my God, I'm so concerned, I think he's dead, I don't know what's going on." And she says, "All right, well the first thing you have to do is make sure he's actually dead." He says, "All right." He goes over, shoots him in the head. Now what? No, that's a cute joke. It's not a bad joke.
Someone over there didn't laugh.
Well, but that's part of the point. Even though some of you guys laugh at it, is anyone like still laughing? Is anyone like, "Oh my God, give me 10 minutes, oh my God"? That's not the hardest you've ever laughed at something. That's just statistically what got a laugh. But in terms of what makes you laugh the hardest, that's an area where you take risks and you try something different and you try to sometimes hit that uncomfortable zone. You go outside the comfort zone because really what comedy is that it's all based on misery. Something bad is happening. Even satire is making fun of something. You know, Coolio worked really hard on his song Gangsta's Paradise, and Weird Al made a song about the Amish. And he was really upset at first, you know, and then he lightened up and now they're cool and everything, but he was really upset because he thought that song was really serious, and it is really serious. So even just mocking the, you know, English language can make some people upset. You know, it is all in some way or another based on misery. You make goofy faces to a little baby, goes ha ha ha, laughing at the fact that you look stupid. Laughing at the fact that, you know, you're not intelligent, you look like a doofus. Ah, I'm smarter than you and I'm a baby, so that's pretty good. But what is that would mean comedy is really mean and everyone would be terrible if they loved comedy, but that's not what it is. Comedy is a defense mechanism. It's a way of coping with all that misery, with all this bad stuff that happens to us. It's a way of saying, this is a part of life, and it happens, and you'll move on, and it'll be okay. So, with that said, let's talk about, I'll talk about probably my personal favorite kind of comedy, which is slapstick. Slapstick, not slapdick.
Oh, sorry.
Slapstick, if you don't know, that's physical humor. That's Tom and Jerry, that's Three Stooges, that's Looney Tunes, all sorts of cartoons do a lot of it. And it's humor where someone gets really, really hurt and maimed, and it's, again, it sounds really sick, but it's really funny. We like seeing cartoon characters get mangled and then they jump right up, but they still have to be hurt. That's what's important about it. They still have to suffer. And again, it sounds sick, but I think I did something on, in Home Alone, on the commentary. How many have seen Home Alone? Most of you checked it out. Yeah. It's like 20 years old now. Don't you feel old? I look at people like, boo, getting old. Boo time. A lot of the slapstick in there works really well. You have buckets hitting the person on the head. You have them getting their head set on fire and screaming and stuff. The one that almost always gets the smallest laugh, you remember when the fan blows feathers on him? And it's like, you kind of chuckle and stuff, but nobody is like, ah, it's feathers, that must have hurt. You know, it's, everyone, that's a soft hit, that's a soft laugh. Because the more it hurts, the more funny it is, because again, it's adapting to an even stronger pain, and thus it's taking a little bit more of a risk. In Tom and Jerry cartoons, or even Adventure Time, like we do the Adventure Time vlogs, they got some really great slapstick. Something they'll do often, I think they play with a lot, is just before something hits the character, the more content they can look. You know, in Tom and Jerry, there, you know, Jerry will go like this, and Tom will go, and he'll hold that face, and you already start laughing because you know it's coming. And it's going to hurt so bad, and his incredibly pleasant world is going to be crushed in a second. And that just makes the pain all the more harsh. So the more content and more happy someone can be before that pain just totally destroys them, the more of a laugh it's most likely going to get.
Okay, time for a comedy poll here very quickly. Be honest with this. If you're a guy, if you think you're a guy, how many guys here like the Three Stooges? All right, now here's the honest part. How many girls like the Three Stooges?
More than you think.
Yeah, you're sick. And there is a gender difference. If I had a dollar for every time that I had a female say to me, "What do you like about that?" It's sickening. They're hitting one another. Yeah, they're beating up. Yeah.
Well, but that does bring up a good. But no, because I remember growing up, like all the. Like, now I think our generation is more like male or female sort of likes Three Stooges a little bit more, because I've definitely been noticing that. But I have noticed that growing up, there's definitely a lot that were like, I don't get, it's stupid. And it is stupid. I mean, it's not like watching that is going to make you like, you know, a physicist or anything like that, though sometimes they wear lab coats. But for the most part, it's just dumb comedy. It's dumb physical comedy, but it's still done right. There is a strategy to it. With a lot of this comedy, whenever somebody says, oh, that's just dumb, it's like there's still a method to it. This brings me to one I really get a lot of kicks out of. It's a... and now I'm trying to remember what it was. No, you know, okay. Kind of like situational comedy. This is sitcoms, this is reality TV, just someone is so stupid, or, you know, someone delivers a line, and the audience laughs and stuff like that. Or again, Adventure Time. Okay, it's not a sitcom, but, you know, but at the same time, a lot of that is based on just how goofy, you know, or weird some of the characters say, you know, what they say.
Yeah.
You know, Jake says some of like the weirdest, dumbest things.
What a lump.
Yeah. You know, during like big hectic situations, like, you know, a monster trying to eat him, he'll be like, I want a sandwich. You know, just weird stuff like that. And a lot of that, again, just sort of depends on the situation. The more chaotic something can be and the more someone is not getting it, the more, even if everybody on screen isn't necessarily getting this is a bad thing, you can also be the one that the comedy is being done on. I think Adventure Time does do that sometimes, where they'll have everybody sort of like, or Family Guy or Simpsons, they'll have everybody content about something that is obviously awful. You know, and they'll just be really happy about it. So it's like, where's the comedy? None of them are suffering. But you're the one who knows better. You're the one that, you know, it's like the show is telling you, no, this is fine. This is great. You know, it's great that Springfield is like, you know, the fattest state in the country or something like that. And they all like are so happy and dancing. They jiggle all their bellies together and stuff like that. But you laugh because you know that that's not good. And yet they have it as like this great trophy pretty much. So with that said, I think we also go into probably one of your favorites, surreal, goofy, silly, yeah, that. This is the stuff that comes totally out of left field. And what I mean with that is that there's kind of three different ways like you can do, you know, sort of do a joke. I mean, there's variations, but there's sort of three different ways. And I'm gonna need a volunteer from the audience to hurt me. I like how I said volunteer, and some hands went up to hurt me. Yeah! Let's see. Yeah, let's go with other me. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. Okay, so I'm a narcissist. Okay, so we're gonna do three different types here. What's your name? Isn't that great? No, what is it really? Whoa, that was funny. See, he's already ahead of the curve. What's your name?
Jet.
Jet? Really?
Yeah.
J-E-T?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And another T? That's doubly awesome. Okay, we're going to do three different types of sort of standard comedy here. There's going to be three reactions, because comedy is a lot of reactions. It's bad stuff happening, but it's how the person reacts to it that you're laughing at. So in this one, what you're going to do, not especially hard, but you're going to bring your hand back, you're going to go thwap on the side of my head. And what this is going to be the very simple, you know, cause and effect. He does something, I react to it. And when I say go, you can bring your hand back and just slap the side of my head, okay?
For real?
Yes. I mean, don't bruise me. That'd be self-abuse.
Please
but yeah,
hit him hard.
Don't listen to the man behind the curtain. All right. So, all right, you ready? And go.
Oh my God, he's dead. Oh wait.
Now that is a very standard, you know, build up, deliver, and the impact you think is going to happen is what happens. It's over the top, but you know, it's exactly that. Guy hits him, he's hurt. Falls over, whatever. All right, the second one is called the delayed reaction. This is the exact same thing happens, but then it plays with the anticipation a little bit of what you built up and delays it a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. Again, when I say go, you're going to bring your hand back, you're going to thwap me on the head again. You ready? Go. Thwap. Now that's a delayed reaction because you weren't expecting it as much. Now the third one is just the totally out of the blue, you didn't see it coming, it's just something that you're just sort of shocked that happy, you just sort of go, wow, well that was so strange, I don't know how to react to it, and that's part of the fun. So again, when I say go, you're gonna bring your hand way back, you're just gonna thwap me on the side of the head. Ready? Ready. And go. Give him a big hand. Jason, I know how much you want to do that, but just keep it inside. So, yeah, so those are kind of the three variations. There's a lot of other variations you can do on top of that, but that's kind of what it comes back to. You know, just the standard delivery, the delayed delivery, and then just something totally out of left field. With the totally out of left field stuff, again, I think Jason probably knows some good examples of this. Adventure Time, I think, has a lot of that good stuff. Yes?
No.
Yeah, well, for you, it's like reality. It's like, this is my world. What was that?
How many drugs is he on?
4.5.
He'll soon be 5, don't worry. I like how she applied that, like, good. But yeah, so, I mean, this is stuff like the Monty Pythons. This is like some YouTube poop sometimes. This is, a lot of internet videos just go for the straight up strange and surreal. And again, part of that is playing with your expectation, just something you were not ready for, and it's just so strange. How many of you have seen that, what is it, Fabulous Secret Powers video where He-Man goes, hey, yeah. And one of the reasons I find, not only is it satire, we'll get to that in a second, but who would have predicted in that video that, you know, that Prince Adam, when he holds aloft his magic sword, would say, 25 years, and do the whole song. I mean, just like the whole friggin' song. It's so bizarre. And again, that's playing with your expectation. That is harder to do because, and my Python sort of started to fall into this trap a little bit with the show, when you're constantly trying to surprise someone, it can become predictable. A Third Rock almost kind of fell into that too. Where, and I love both those shows, they're great and they're still fantastic, but you can fall into that trap where, all right, well now I know what to predict, you're going to do the opposite of what I think you're going to do, and you start to catch on. But again, I hate to come back to Adventure Time, I think it's the shirt, but Adventure Time is, don't do that. I'm just assuming you're, my goodness.
He's quite excited.
Wiping a tear from Jake's eye is hot. No, but Adventure Time is very good at taking something and just like constantly surprising you with it. Partly because they'll also throw in bits of drama as well. But you don't know where it's gonna go, and I think that's so much part of the fun is that you just never know, and that's very hard to do, but it can be done. But it is very, very tricky. With that said, let's get to another one you see online all the time, and it's great satire. Satire is Weird Al Yankovic. Satire is like college humor and a lot of online videos. Satire is Mel Brooks and the Zucker brothers, and they're all so good. Satire is making fun of something that already exists. You know, where you'll have, whatever, Star Wars, Mel Brooks will do Spaceballs. Now, but here's the thing too, like anything, there's good and there's bad satire. How many of you have seen Not Another Teen Movie, Disaster Movie, Scary Movie 12, or whatever the hell they have?
Okay, Not Another Teen Movie was actually good, the rest sucked.
You know, I heard that was good, but everyone says it's bad. But
No,
yeah,
it's actually a lot of
I don't
fun,
know.
and it was
I always
before
think
the
about it. But
whole
anyway. So, with that, here's the reason that a lot of those, if you feel like Not Another Teen Movie, a lot of those don't hold up very well is because most of them saw the movie. No, they didn't see the movie they were going to satirize. They just got pictures, they sort of heard about it, and they would get notes, and they'd be like, okay, we have to make fun of it. We have to include this in our movie because then people are going to see it and think, oh, they're going to do a really good satire, when really they have no idea what happens in the movie or what they're going to make fun of. There's a line that you have to love whatever you satirize. I don't think that's true. I think you have to have a passion for what you satirize. I satirize a lot of stuff that I hate. But I have such a passionate hate for it.
But you have to know what you're going to satirize too.
Correct. You have to know the context.
If you're trying to satirize a bad movie that no one has seen, it's not going to be funny.
Exactly. Or if you haven't seen, like again with these satires, you know, the dating movie or whatever, it's not going to work. And so, like when Mel Brooks makes fun of Star Wars, you know what? if nobody saw Star Wars, that would be a mildly funny movie, but because we all know Star Wars, we laugh really hard when Dark Helmet, that would make no sense if nobody saw Star Wars. If he comes in, you know, and says, I am your father's brothers, sisters, cousins, former roommate, you know, everyone knows what that is because it's satirizing Star Wars. But so there has to be an understanding of what you're mocking. And again, you can mock something that you really love. I mean, I've done reviews of stuff that, you know, like, I love the movie Hook, but it's pretty easy to make fun of. You know, it's a lot of things that don't make sense or are silly, whatever. Yeah. But I can still make fun of it. And in terms of satire, there's two. Again, I brought up Monty Python. There's also Saturday Night Live. I'm sure people still watch that, or at least see it online sometimes. But something they do that's always very interesting. I see it's very much with American humor and British humor. British humor is very much silence. I will not have water bottle crinkling in my classroom. So, but with American and British comedy, American comedy is very much a silly person in a serious scenario. You know, it's someone who is coming, you know, hi, I'm the goofy person you're all gonna look at, and everyone's gonna look at me like I'm crazy, blah, blah, blah. Monty Python is very serious people in silly scenarios. You'll have John Cleese talking to Terry Jones there, you know, about being a mouse. And they're in the suits and the dark lighting. It's not a matter of wanting to be a mouse. It's just you wake up and it's just what you want to be. And what did they do at these parties? Well, they start handing cheese around, you know, and you try to be once, okay, but no more. And it was how much he's into something so stupid as being a mouse, but it's hilarious. And that seems to be sort of the big difference. For me, I like the serious people in silly situations a little bit more, but both are very funny. There's a lot of SNL sketches that still make me laugh. A lot of Chris Farley stuff makes me laugh. So with that said, something else SNL does a lot of and a lot of people do a lot of, and it's not my personal favorite, but even I have to acknowledge it can make me laugh, gross out humor. This is the, God, what's some gross out humor?
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
No, you didn't see that.
Yes, I did.
I heard it was awful. Yeah. Okay. Good. The Farley.
Faces of Death.
Man, that's the funniest comedy ever.
Video game nerd.
But something like, actually, that's sort of a good point. Yeah, the video game nerd. Actually, he does a lot of gross out humor. The Farley brothers like pioneered gross out humor for a little bit, like for a while. That's the only comedy that was out. That was during that dark period in between like Batman and Robin and Godzilla, though. And usually I don't get into it, but again, I have to concede there are some that really make me laugh, and the ones that are the funniest are the ones that, again, involve the most pain. That's why it doesn't make me laugh personally, because if someone just farts, oh, that probably smells bad for them, but it's like, you're not there, you're not, oh no, they have to smell something bad, who cares? You know, or, oh no, someone got snot on them, ew, and it's, for some people, like, gross out stuff, hey.
What?
For a lot of people, see, it still works. for a lot of people, just, you know, gross is funny. But even then, I have to admit, there's
Something About Mary.
That's got a lot of good ones. But my absolute favorite still, and it's also by the Farley brothers, in Dumb and Dumber, when Jeff Daniel takes the laxative. And oh god, my mom has a straight face right now. Not anymore, haha. No, because she's seen me watch this scene a million times. But okay, so what is, Jim Carrey puts this laxative in Jeff Daniel's drink to get revenge. And you see Jeff Daniel, he's driving, he's gonna go to his date, you know, he's driving, you just hear, and he just goes, and he keeps driving, seems to be okay. You know, that alone is funny that he's not concerned about that. And then he gets to the house, he goes in and says hi to her, she has to go freshen up or something, and he hears it again. And he knows he has to go, so he looks for a bathroom, he goes in there, goes to the toilet, pants down, throws his legs up, his mouth is wide open, it's just, and he goes, oh! And he is in so much pain. And that's even funnier because then he's in so much joy. It just goes, oh! And then, of course, the great kicker at the end.
Reaction.
Yeah, the great kicker at the end. Oh, don't use it, it's broken. And just like, perfect. And then I think she has to go somewhere else or something, but just that perfect delivery. So even then, I have to admit, it's like gross out humor can be funny, but the more that it's actually painful, the more the character is suffering, that is like the most important thing to definitely keep in mind. Now with that said, my mother in the room, I'm going to talk about usually the big controversial one, the shock humor. I think you like this one too. What? No.
I don't even know what that falls into. What is shock humor?
Well, that's how comfortable you are with it.
Oh.
No, shock humor is where you talk about something that makes people. It's not like someone getting hit on the head or cartoon violence or oh, that darn family of mine. I mean, this is like really uncomfortable stuff. I mean, this is stuff that like politics and religion and like kids and sexual jokes and all these terrible things that a lot of people say you can't talk about that, you shouldn't talk about that. Again, I disagree on that personally, because there's a lot of things, 50 years ago that they said we couldn't talk about. And nowadays they're like common words. Butt used to be a bad word. They used to have to censor that word. You can't say that word, it's just too big a thing.
They couldn't say eat by shorts.
Yeah, that was like a big, no, socks.
The TV cut of Breakfast Club. When he said eat by shorts, they edited it to eat by socks.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Well, now it's sanitary, yes. Shorts, that was too far, but socks, that's okay. That's clearly okay. And this is always a big battle with censorship and stuff as well, because it's like, well, again, there's no book. There's no book that says, well, saying this will turn you into a Nazi and this one won't. There's just stuff, actually, that's another good one. Sometimes we've gotten in problems with. Sometimes just mentioning Nazis. World War II, any of that stuff. And when you get down to it, it's like, especially if you watch any of those documentaries or anything, it's like, that is like one of the worst things that like the world has ever gone through. I mean, it's like unbelievable when you see that stuff. And then when you sort of think about like somebody making fun of it or making a joke, you can see how someone can like be offended. Like, I had a relative there or somebody that saw that, whatever. But at the same time, we can watch something like The Producers and they can do a song number with Springtime for Hitler and we can all laugh at it. And part of that is that, again, it kind of comes down to the goal. It comes down to the goal of what comedy is. And comedy is not supposed to make you feel worse. Comedy is supposed to make you feel better. And shock humor, diving into those really dark, nasty areas, is trying to confront them and tell you this is life, but it's okay. Like, you'll get through it okay. That's part of the world and it sucks, but we're going to get through it all right. I think a lot of times with, we'll do questions at the end, so those who have their hands up. But a big part of that might be, how do you do shock humor right, how do you do it wrong? Okay, if the shock humor is there just for shock humor and it's more just to, hey, I can't believe he said that, it's not really going to work. It's just going to come out more hateful.
Let's go with it. Aristocrats.
Well, okay, we'll get to that. Aristocrats is a joke about literally how much bad taste can you put in a joke. In fact, the punchline is actually not the funny part. The middle is where you improvise and make stuff up, and the more shocking you can make it, the more funny the joke is. It's sort of a comedian's joke in a sense.
All the comedians know the setup, they know the punchline delivery, and so you're just sitting there, what can they say in the middle?
Yeah, and every comedian has a different one that makes it up. I did one that you probably shouldn't watch.
Yeah, I remember that.
But, and that's why you are the way you are. But no, the purpose of that humor is to confront this stuff that, is troubling, is uncomfortable, but it's still life. It's still a part of it. And in my opinion, by shying away from that, by saying, nope, you can't talk about it, nobody's ever going to talk about it, you're letting it win. You're letting the fear win, and you're saying, I'm going to let this totally control me. And that's not what humor is supposed to do. Humor is supposed to break down those barriers. You know, the old saying, the jester is the only one that you would get the actual news from, because the jester could make fun of the king and tell what was really going on, and everyone would laugh, but it's also how you got the real news. The Daily Show is a good example of that. I think a lot of us actually still get our news from The Daily Show, because we're also getting laugh, and you know they're not going to do a bunch of PC stuff. They're also going to be entertaining and funny. But a big part of shock humor, in my opinion, probably the biggest part, is the timing. The timing of it is very important. For example, like if you were to make a Lincoln assassination joke or something like that, nobody's gonna shout, "Too soon!" You know, it's gotta be funny. Actually, one of my favorite jokes is Robin Williams said the best jokes are the ones you only give the punchline, nothing else. Like the theater crew goes up to Mrs. Lincoln and says, "Well, aside from that, how'd you like the show?" But now, what? Nice. But now, when you listen to that, that's still based on like one of the greatest heroes, one of the great legends of our times, assassination. You know, and his wife went into a mental hospital. You know, and the nation was destroyed. It's a terrible thing. Hell, let's go a step further. The joke all of you laughed at with the hunter. You know, yeah, we all laughed and everything. Do you know how much psychological therapy that guy has to go through? He shot his best friend who could have been alive, and he put a bullet in his head. Blood splurting everywhere. You all are sick. But that is what comedy is. I mean, it is sick, it is miserable, it is unpleasant, but it's trying to confront that, and it's trying to make us stronger and say, this is just a part of it.
One of the things about comedy,
guys, good.
One of the things about comedy is the fact that not only do you supposedly feel good, you also feel superior. You notice that when you talk about the guy slipping on the banana peel, it's never you. It's watching someone else do it. The hunter, you don't identify with the guy who's dead. The idea is that comedy is a relief where you thank God that wasn't me that happened to. I can laugh at that and not feel guilty.
Yeah, it's also an escape. Pretty much. It's a way for you to say, oh, there's, like, this stuff happens. You know, not just stuff that's happening, you're like, much worse stuff happens. And it sucks, but the world is telling you that this is how it works, and it's just how it's going to be, and you need to cope, and coping's okay. This is how you get stronger, because if not, you'd just be in a room, locked in, afraid of everything, afraid to say anything or do anything, and that's not, the human race would die very quickly. You know, that's not what it's supposed to do. So with the timing thing, if you made that joke about, Lincoln's death the day of or the day after, nobody's going to laugh at you. They're all going to think you're awful and you're a terrible person. But if you wait years later, it starts to open up. And again, death is a part of it. Assassinations do happen. And it's not fun and it's terrible. But at the same time, it's telling yourself that it does happen and it's just how it's going to be. But we can also find, something kind of humor. Isn't it funny that this is part of life? Isn't this funny how it works? So with that said, I think I'm trying to think of something. Again, because I don't have my notes, going backwards a little bit. Rule of threes. Who knows what the rule of threes is in terms of comedy? Yeah, go ahead and say it.
Third time. First time is funny. Second time is funny because it's the repeat. Third time you're expecting it and it's funny, but after that it's not funny anymore.
Correct. It's if you didn't hear, it's that for a running joke, you do the joke once, it gets a laugh. When you bring it back the second time, it'll get a laugh because you're doing it again. And the idea is that you can't do it any more than three. The third is the very last one that you can do it.
Master of disguise.
Yeah, they abuse that. Well, actually, we'll kind of get something with that too. That third is the last time you can do it. Without it being funny, pretty much, is that after that it's gonna bomb. But again, as a guy who has unbelievably abused the running joke, this one John Sherlock, but for those who don't, when I was reviewing Street Fighter, the movie, there's a scene where I say, and this is M. Bison, he wants to, you guess it, take over the world, and I have this clip of him just going, of course! Now that was cute, but now right after that I reviewed Mortal Kombat, and the guy had the same plan. He wants to, you guess it, take over the world. Well, now of course I had to play the clip again, of course! And that'll still be funny. what are the chances that a third movie comes along where the guy wants to take over the world? Okay, well, I have to play it again, and I play it again, of course. But then I'm realizing this is just a common thing. For some reason, taking over the world is just like the new hobby. So, at least in 80s and 90s movies. So, when these subjects would come up, I said, okay, well, I need to do this again, but I have to have some variation. So, for example, say this guy wants to, you guessed it, take over the world. I'll sort of go like this, and he'll come out, of course, yeah, and I'll push the clip away. But then when I have to do it again, he wants to, you guessed it, take over the world, and he'll try to come in, I'll move the clip back, I'll be like, haha, and I'll try to talk, but then he'll smash my head, of course! You know what I mean? And this guy wants to, you guessed it, look left, look right, of course! Like, I can't even get the word out. You know, so it's always having, if you're going to do it past 3, you have to have a variation of it. Now, something you brought up, you brought Master of Disguise, which had this joke that more than abused the rule of 3 and did little to no variation of it, but you see Family Guy do this, a lot of these running jokes, where it'll just keep going, and it's like, even if it's not funny to begin with, the more it's dedicated to it, you just can't believe it's still going, and you have to laugh at the absurdity of it. Master of Disguise, there's this joke where the villain will laugh, and like he thinks he's superior, but then in the middle of the laugh, he farts. And he's like, and that was the joke, and that's kind of cute. And then he'll do it again later. Okay, I'm starting to lose it. And then the third time, all right, I'm really done with this joke. But then what happens the 4th time, it's like, really? They're still going? And then with the 5th, it's like, it's starting to kind of become funny again, because you just can't believe they have no discipline for this. And they are just so greedy. But you're kind of laughing at it. And then what happens the 6th, it's like, oh my God, did that get like a genuine laugh out of me? I think it did. Then when they did the 7th, it was starting to suck again. Then the 8th, it was dead. It was just dead. So yeah, so there are a lot of variations of that. And again, a lot of it's just sort of trial and error with it. But again, you just sort of try it and see what works. So all right, so getting to wrapping up here, and we'll open up to sort of like comments and questions, just, you know, in general about comedy. Not yet. Is that, like I said, comedy does not have a rule book. It's not science. It's not math. It doesn't lead to a solid fact. Just some things are going to be funny to you and some things aren't. And it's okay whatever makes you laugh. You know, Louis C.K. has this incredible talent of taking just the darkest, worst thoughts that everybody has at least for 5 seconds a day and bringing it to the forefront. I mean, and they are terrible things that he talks about, but he pretty much says, we're all kind of thinking it, and it's all right. You can think this, you're human, this happens. And that's what comedy is that you take it and you say, this is just life, and I'm only in it for a short while. I really want to laugh with it, and I want to enjoy it, because what's the alternative? You know, is that you do nothing and you don't grow from it. Comedy does make you grow, and it leaves you a different person than when it found you. That's what really, really good comedy does. So that's pretty much what you want to try and do, and the focus is always try to spread something more positive than negative, you know, because it is all based on misery, and walking that thin line is really tough, because there are times where you are going to go too far, but at the same time, if you can explain why it was supposed to make people better, and I've had to do that before. People were really offended, they'll send emails and stuff, and I will usually respond and say, this was my intention. If you didn't get it, I understand, but this was the intention. So always be ready to explain your jokes too, if you need to, because there's always going to be somebody offended, and that's a good thing. I know it sounds strange. You know, George Carlin said comedy's not working unless somebody is offended. I think that's very true. So because it wouldn't be comedy if it wasn't. Somebody out there has to be offended by a joke. You know, chickens crossing the road, chickens, if they could understand English, would be very offended.
Well, now there's also, Doug talks about comedy being misery. There is one form of comedy that does not involve misery at all.
Yeah, let me hear this.
Boring. Yeah. This is called non sequitur. It's Latin for it doesn't follow. And non sequitur are these dumb little things that kids do, because kids don't understand a lot of the comedy that Doug would do. The deal.
I disagree.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's mostly kids.
I'm talking about little kids. Yeah, anyway, all right. Anyway, but you know the old kid kid joke about how do you know if an elephant has been in your refrigerator? You see footprints in the lemon meringue pie. You tell that to a kid, wow, that's really good. You tell it to an adult, they go, what?
No, but it's still because you're not expecting it. It's humor that you're not expecting.
You're not.
Now you're a little
And the
kid.
suffering is the loss of the pie.
Oh, that's
Who wants
I
to
never
eat
thought of that.
Sorry.
So, I mean, there definitely are interpretations to it, but yeah, but pretty much is that if you're going to, my grandfather had a saying, you know, when somebody would come up and be like, you know, hey, I got a really dirty, nasty joke, he would say, is it more funny than it is dirty? And I think that's sort of the way to lean towards, you know, if it's more positive than it is hurtful, that's what comedy is supposed to do. And it is a thin line, and you will cross it sometimes. I've crossed it sometimes, you know. Okay, most of the time. But that's why they're all here. So, but there is this inner rebel, and there is this part of you that just says, I want to be challenged. I don't want to always be treated as a little kid. I want the hard stuff to hit me, and I want to say, I'm ready for it, I can take it on, and that is what comedy is trying to do. And the most important rule out of all this stuff, everything that I've said, is that you don't have to listen to a goddamn thing I said. Because I don't. Probably best if you don't.
Please
because that is how comedy works. You go out there, you experiment, you try stuff that's different, and it's not an exact science, so you can go out there and you can try whatever you think will work, and sometimes you'll fail, sometimes you'll succeed, and you just sort of measure and you see what catches on, what doesn't, what kind of audience you're looking for, or what hits the mass majority of people, or just a little niche or whatever. That is what comedy is trying to do, so go out there, spread the positivity, and make people laugh. Let's take questions. Yes?
I know you're talking about Chris Farley earlier. I've always wondered, what's your opinion on like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep and any others?
What's my opinion on Tommy Boy and Black Sheep and Chris Farley movies? This is probably an unpopular opinion now. I don't like them. And I love him on Saturday Night Live. I think he's an incredible comedian. I just don't get into those movies, but I know they got a huge following. Do you like those movies?
They were fine like the first time I saw them on SNL, but when you make an entire movie based around like 3 sketches, you kind of get bored after a while.
Too long.
And then you make another movie and another movie based on the exact same sketches.
Is David Spade in it?
Yes.
But I know, I mean, we can't stand it, but I know a ton of people who love those movies.
My wife loved Tommy Boy.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, sweetheart?
I think more people I know like that movie than dislike it, honestly. So, yeah, there you go. So it's just going to be different for everybody. Let's go. Yeah, guy in the black and red shirt.
Have you ever seen the movie Freddy Got Fingered?
Have I seen Freddy Got Fingered? The trailer was enough for me.
But it's Tom Green.
Anything else about it, or?
I mean, that kind of comedy, what category is that?
I say that Family Guy tries to do this too. Now it's starting to get a term. It's like anti-comedy. And Tom Green is very anti-comedy. And my thought is, if it's anti-comedy, why should I laugh at it? So that's just sort of my thought on the whole thing. Let's see, someone over here. Let's do, yeah, Superman shirt there.
Yeah. You said that slapstick comedy is your favorite type of humor. Is that your favorite type of humor to write for the Nostalgia Critic, or do you have a different type you like to write?
Do I like writing slapstick for a Nostalgia Critic? I do, but it is tricky because there is still like a time schedule, and I know to get slapstick really good, you have to, the timing really has to be good. And timing is something, again, it's not an exact science, and that's probably the hardest thing to teach, because it's like, why does, I mean, there are laughs in animation, you know this too, I'm sure you do too, Looney Tunes and stuff. Chuck Jones used to say, literally a frame can make the difference between a laugh and no laugh. And with Nostalgia Critic, I think that's very true too. So it's tougher to do, but yeah, I do love writing for it, if I can work it in. So yeah, no, I do love writing for it. Let's see, let's do a black shirt with the little white city there. Yeah.
What do you hate more, the Sonic animation show or the Mario Bros animation show?
Do I hate the Sonic cartoon or the Mario cartoon more? Oh, which one do I hate more? I'm assuming you mean like the not Sat AM one, right? Yeah. That other show! You know what? Super Mario Brothers was just so awkward and clumsy. I'm just like, eh.
Oh yeah.
You know, Sonic at least was so batshit crazy. It's like I can at least kind of get a laugh out of it. Let's do the blue shirt, the keep calm one there.
What was the worst thing you had to review on Nostalgia Critic? Like the worst movie, like one of
Okay, hold on. What's the worst movie I've ever had to review on Nostalgia Critic? Now hold on. All those who say it know it on the say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Garbage Pail Kids.
That's disturbing.
Yes. No, I said that out loud. Yeah, I'm just like, I really hate that movie. Let's see. Let's do the guy holding the hat, turtle thing, whatever that is. Oh, Skull. I'm sorry. God, it wasn't even close.
Okay, so in the topic of shock humor, I think that it's a very interesting brand of comedy because you were saying that, you know, there's a line where you can offend people, you kind of want to dart around it. But I actually feel that shock humor works better if you see that line and just rock it past it. It's like South Park. South Park defends everything, so then it becomes less offensive. There's no limits. It's everything. Like Cards Against Humanity works the same way. And if Cards Against Humanity, like let's say they removed a card, like oh now the Holocaust card is too offensive. And that becomes now you have a baseline. So everyone's like, well, you know, that's too offensive.
Well, no, now, don't get me wrong. It's definitely don't ever cross a line. I'm not saying that at all. I completely agree. If there's a line to cross, I say all the more reason to cross it, because that means that, like I said, the fear is winning, and people are too afraid. That's all the more reason to cross it. But again, I think there is a matter of sort of like the timing and how to approach it, because you can deliver something. South Park, you're right, they make fun of everything, they always push the limit and stuff, so you kind of get used to it. Nobody even cares anymore if they do something shocking. But if you're going to do something where you're kind of saying, yes, I do want it to be offensive, but I don't want it to hurt necessarily. And I think there is a difference. You can be like, I can't believe he talked about that. Well, it's kind of funny. You know, I think, again, Louis C.K. is very good at that. People are laughing because it's so shocking, but it's so funny too. So no, I don't think there's a line to cross, honestly. But I do think there is a matter of sort of the timing and when to hit it. I would not go up to Mrs. Lincoln after Abraham got shot and be like, yeah, a few holes in that play, huh? Yeah, go ahead and say it. Too soon! So no, I agree. I don't think there is a barrier, and I do really respect South Park for doing that. Definitely, very much. Guy waving the flag.
I want to know if you're going to actually review 2 movies. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, well, hold on, gosh. What was the second one?
Mind Python and the Holy Grail.
Why would I review that? I love that movie.
That movie sucks.
I don't know if I could get much comedy out of something that's already funny. Look at them trying to be British. No, and Dragon Ball Evolution I wouldn't do because I haven't watched the show.
You don't need to. Trust me. Watch it. You will hate it, and it will be a great review. Trust me.
Well, we'll see.
I love the show, and that thing was terrible.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's what I hear. So probably not, but you never know. We'll see. Let's go with Derpy Hooves back there.
Going to professional careers, who's worse, Shyamalan or Nicolas Cage?
No. Okay, who's worse, Shyamalan or Nicolas Cage? Okay, Cage, first of all, has legitimate talent. I think he just rarely uses it.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way: intentionally uses it. I think like when he does his freakouts and his awkwardness and stuff, it's very entertaining. Shyamalan's entertaining too, and how bad he is, but I think he really thinks like, no, I'm really good. And Nicolas Cage can go into movies like, no, I know I'm crap. I'll try in 5 movies, don't worry. You know, like he'll have a good movie and be great in it. You know, so yeah, that is probably my take on that. Let's see, let's do Gatorade, Campbell.
All right, based on the delivery and execution, what is your favorite Monty Python's hit or joke?
I can say very good. My favorite Monty Python sketch. You guys should answer too because it's Monty Python. Yes. My absolute favorite is the one. It's a really long one too. With it has all of them, and it's one where there's like a Hollywood producer. He's this real big shot, and he's just coming up with a movie, and there's nothing but a long table of yes men. you know, trying to agree, but this guy is so impossible and constantly changing his mind that they're constantly stuck in traps, and every single time they answer something he doesn't like, they're fired. So it's trying to find that right answer, and every single one is getting fired as it gets closer and closer down the line, and it's just the greatest panicking of people, and them trying to figure out just how to keep their livelihood. So no, I love that one. How about you?
Squeak, 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 squeak. Oh my God! I saw that when I was a kid, and I was like, "What are they gonna?" Oh my God, the poor little meese.
That's a great one too. How do you do?
I like the one where they paid John Cleese to disagree with you.
Oh, that's right. No, have an argument.
They have an argument.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
And then they have an argument about whether or not it is an argument. I love it. It's really, really good writing. Yes, front runner.
Where do you think self-deprecating humor fits under your sort of paradigm that you've created for comedy?
Oh, where does self-deprecating humor? Actually, that's something very important to bring up. Any humor, and I strongly believe this, any humor you're going to throw at anyone, you have to be ready to throw it right back at yourself. Yeah. You know, and I really hold myself to a rule of comedy that I will not say something about a person, even if I never met them and I never will meet them, that I would not say about myself. Yeah, Mara Wilson's a good example. You know, I mean, I try not to go after their personal lives. Like, if someone's an alcoholic, I try not to touch that, because it's like, to me, it's just like, and people can and will and stuff, but it's just like, I wouldn't want that happening to me either if I was an alcoholic or something. It just seems like a kick below the belt. But yeah, but SNL has been actually a great vehicle for a lot of people who have gone through really bad times or controversial times to go out there and make fun of themselves and show like, hey, I can laugh at myself. So that's very important. I'll make a lot of jokes about like how like I'm balding and I got a high-pitched voice and like demo reel bombed and stuff like that. I mean, I'll make jokes about all of that stuff, and I'll make it about other people too. You know, that's part of the fun. So it's very important. But even then, you don't want that to go too far either, because then people can just be depressed, like, wow, you really hate yourself. What's wrong with you? So, yeah, blue hair.
Are people born a comedian, or does it somewhat develop in someone's mind?
That's a good question. Are people born a comedian, or does it develop? I think it's always kind of developing, most likely. A lot of people say, are you born with it or can it be taught? I think it can be taught, but not everyone will pick it up as well. It's like math. You can teach math. It's not like, no, it can't be taught. It's too impossible. No, you can teach it, but not everybody's going to get it. I think comedy's the exact same way. You know, that you don't have to be born with it, but some people are just going to have, whether it be their environment or genes, whatever, they are going to be a little bit more natural about it.
Comedy can be refined also. I mean, Doug was humorous as a kid, but having to restrain him and say, no, that is not funny, and whoa, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, saying that is not funny, and then getting him to say, but this is why, and we would go into it and we'd talk about it like that. That's just learning the craft.
Yeah, I will say, actually, both my folks are very, very good at that. Like, we would just film these little videos trying to be funny and stuff, and they would just be like, well, that was good. This is crap, and here's why. I mean, but it's like, but they took me very seriously, and they weren't ultra mean or anything. And I was like, I really listened, and it's like I really took that stuff in. So no, it's very cool you guys did that. One last question. We'll go with you again.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this question revolves around the difference between The Simpsons and South Park. The Simpsons past season 10 is not funny anymore.
10? I say 5.
I go 3.
South Park is in season 17 and they have a video game adaptation. They're still fucking hilarious. Well, here's the thing. Think of a show that you laughed at for years and years, whether it be The Simpsons, Family Guy, or South Park. What would it take for you to not find it funny anymore?
I mean, South Park honestly is a great example. I do think it's still funny. I think part of that is because the bar is still being raised on what you can and can't say and what you can and can't talk about, and they'll always talk about it to a point where people just kind of expect it. So it's like, I'm going to tune in the South Park to be shocked, but to also, like, they're just smart. And that's always what people miss. It's, oh, it's fart humor, it's South Park, it's crude animation. They're smart. They're really smart at what they do, and anyone who really watches it for a while picks up that it's like, wow, this is incredible social satire. They do some of the best social satire, in my opinion. In order for it to not be funny, I don't know. there's lots of ways not to be funny. It's very easy to be boring. And some formulas and methods just open themselves up to being talked about for years. You know, the sketch comedy shows can go on for however long they need. Weird Al can go on for however long he needs because he satirizes other people, whatever's new. So if that's new, he's going to be new too. With Simpsons, I think people are just kind of done with that formula and the characters, and it's sort of like, yeah, all these things that used to be really funny, it's like they're just, I don't know what they can do. I mean, it's not something where I'm like, here's what they need to do to save The Simpsons. No, I don't know what they can do. It just seems like that formula has run its course. I don't know what else they can do with it. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a way. I'm just saying I have no idea what they could do with that setup anymore.
You know, South Park's one of the few shows that I can think of that really breaks the rule of 3. How many times have you heard, oh my God, they killed Kenny?
No, but even then they do variations, and they even explain how he comes back and stuff like that. I mean, they played with that too. I mean, they do the variation, but you're right, they probably go on the longest and still gotten a laugh.
And you feel bad if you don't see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, we got to open up the panel for the next one. If you didn't get to ask a question, tomorrow at 11, I got a panel. After that, we're going to sign autographs and all that stuff. Guys, thank you. Good night.
Bye.